And we're back. It's COMP123, summer 2016. It's programming 2, of course, at Centennial. And we are week 12, part 4 of our broadcast. We just finished talking about this little application we put together for picking a province and passing the data on to the next side, right? So nothing too crazy. What I want to do is I want to move this stuff down. So I want to just kind of select both those two things, move them down here, and I want to add in a menu. Right? I want to put a menu in. So that's a new object we've never done before. How do I do the menu thing? So here's my toolbox. And I'm going to go down to, if you look at, do you see the menu in here at all? No. But if I go down to menus and toolbars, there's other things you can add in here. Again, there's a status strip. Status strip is almost like a status bar that goes in the bottom of your window. There's a tool strip, which is something totally different. Right? That's kind of like gives you actual like an actual tool menu, right? And there's also, I can do these separately, by the way. Tool strip is almost like if I want to have an icon, a bunch of icons, I can add a tool strip in there, right? Menu strip, if I kind of drag and drop this in there, it gives me a menu. Now, I got to tell you about the conventions of Windows applications. What's the convention of menus in Windows apps? How do they appear? You guys know? I'm gonna ask this group over here because you guys aren't really, you guys are in your own little thing, and I want to help. I want to pull you guys for some questions. So how do menus on Windows applications? How do they appear? What do you think? Think about it. What I'm asking. They have a certain style. There's a certain way of every single Windows application has the same order of menus. How do they appear? Keep going. Keep it. File, edit. Right. Actually, if you look at Visual Studio, it says it right here, right? File, edit, view, and then some other stuff, and then there's help, and so on. Guys and girls, this is an example of what Microsoft would like us to build. When we build a Windows application for Microsoft, I want you to follow the exact same methodology here that we see, which is file, edit, view, and so on, right? If you don't have an edit, leave it out. If you don't have a view, leave it out. But always put in a help if you have it as an example, because if I click on help, you can see that under help there's about, right? If I go to file, I have, if I want to, sometimes print or exit. So I want to definitely have the exit inside there for sure, or close or back or cancel. All that kind of stuff here is inside your form. If I want to save my stuff, I want to open my other objects or whatever, it's all inside my file menu, right? Editing, if you notice, I can cut, copy, paste, all that kind of stuff. That functionality is all in there as well, okay? Now remember, it's all in nicely for a Windows form. You and we have to do it manually, right, for now. I'll show you next week how to do it automagically, right? So it happens automatically. We have all those functionalities in and whatever, but for now, let's make it so it's manual. So I want to definitely go file. I want to add two things in there. I want to do close, right? Right. So if I do file close, what is it going to do? It's going to close this form off, right? The other one is back. So maybe what I want to do is maybe exit or close, and then some kind of way of getting back to my previous form, right? All right, so first of all, let's name the top level form. And there's a couple ways to do this, by the way. The menu strip itself is an object, right? Notice on the bottom I have something called menu strip 1, way at the bottom here. All right, so let's bring up the properties for this thing. Okay. I definitely want to rename this thing. Like, for example, this one is my final form menu strip. And I'm telling you, that's what I want you to call it. Call it something that's linked to the form. Final form menu strip. Okay, that's what the menu strip is. Notice I've already renamed it. This way you know what it is and you can access it. So it's not like menu strip 1, right? Okay, style, size, all that stuff is the same. If you go down here, if you look at the fonts, right now it's Segoe UI 9. If I want to make this bigger, I can. Like, for example, if I want to make my menus like 12 or whatever, I could do that. Let's leave it with the standard font that they suggest. Now it just becomes a little bigger for my options, right? If I click this down button, you can see that I can add a menu item, I can add a combo box, I can add a text box. There's different options here, right? That's definitely something I can do. Let's add a menu item, right? Here's my menu item down here, but notice that it also says tool strip menu item 1, right? Well, that's not what I want. That's kind of weird. And my menu item will be for this menu itself, right? So tool strip menu item 1. If I go back, that's the top level menu item. I want this to be file, right? I want this to be in here, edit. Let's make it about for now, right? So those are the two items I want in the menu, a file and about page, right? My file, I want to make it, I want two items. I want one that says back, right? And another one that says exit. Those are the two options that I want there. No, I have file back, file exit. All I've done is I've typed in there to get that. About, that's not really clear. Actually, what it should be is help. And this should be about, sorry, my fault, my bad. There's file, about. All right, again, if I notice my file menu, right, I also have not only that, but I also have some shortcut keys, right? Like if I want to go back, or if I want to close my file, I can do certain things, shortcut keys. I can add shortcut keys as well to my menu items, right? So example, if I want to press file back, maybe I want the file back shortcut key to be like, you know, Control B. I'm just saying, right? So how do I add that in? If you go down here to shortcut keys, if I click on back, right? And if I go to shortcut keys here, right, on the bottom where it says, first of all, do I want to display the shortcut keys? It should be Control plus B, right? Control plus B is what's going to show up there. I've just typed it in down here in my property, right? Now I got to do the shortcut key, right? So Control and a B. So when I'm in this the actual my application, Control and B takes me back. It actually doesn't take me back. It actually triggers the back, whatever this thing is, this back function. All right. Same thing with exit, right? Control X will be exit, right? Typically, let's let that functionality stand, right? So I'm going to go in here, and again, I'm going to go back to my shortcut key display down here where it says Control plus X, right? And then my shortcut keys will also show that. I can go in there and go Control and then all the way down to where it's just where X is for X. Now you can make a whatever control shortcuts you want, right? But I'm showing you how to do these for special effects. Here's something else. What about if I want to make these items? Notice how each of these items have new, about, whatever, right? Alt F4. They also have icons, right? I don't have any icons here. Like for my back, can I add an icon, right? Well, it gives me image, right? There's my image. What if I choose, is there an image that I can choose, right? And I'm just going to wait for this to come up for a second. Notice that I don't have many images in my project source, right? I don't have standard images that I have access to. Even if I go local source and I import, right, some kind of images from, I don't have any images. But if I did, like for example, my X's and all that stuff, I could use those images. And by the way, there's a package that we're gonna open another time, and I'll show you where to get those. We can add images in here too. An X for the X, a back will be a kind of a back button, a back thing that goes there, and so on. And I can do the same thing for my back buttons and so on, right? Help, about, maybe Control A for my about. So I'm gonna do the same thing for about. I click on the about button, go down here. Notice that's frozen when I click on the menu item. And when I go down here, I want to kind of supply it. So Control plus A, that's kind of a weird one. Usually it's like select all, Control A, right? But we're just going to make it for ours, right? And then in our, we're going to say Control plus A would be make the about box come out. All right, cool. Let's do this. So if I click on the about box, if I want to make my about box come up, I'm going to make an about box in a second. I want to double click here. So let's double click to create that event. Just like normal. if you notice, down on the bottom, the About Toolstrip menu item, right, that gets selected. Now remember, it's called About Toolstrip menu item 1. Should you accept that? It's okay. This is the one time I don't want you to change anything. And there's a reason for this. It has its own methodology of naming, right? Leave them alone, all right, for this one. If you want to, could you change it? Yes, you can. If I go back to my loop here, and if I go back to, just get rid of this. So if you really want to, and you want to get rid of that, and then if you want to name this differently, you can. You can make this the About Toolstrip menu. So want to follow the same methodology that you've been using. Instead of Toolstrip menu item 1, right? And you can call it About menu item, the About menu item. You can do that if you really feel like it. It's okay. I'm not going to force you in this case, right? Because it already kind of names, puts it down there. So then if you double click on this one, then you're going to get a different name here, right? That's okay too. You can do that if you like. So here, what I want to do is I want to show the About box. About box, Tom, what are you talking about? We never made it an About box. Oh yeah, let's make one. What is an About box? It tells you about the project. That's what it does. So I'm going to go to Add under the project. If I click on the project and I click Add, New Item, and I want to search for About. It shows me the About box. It's called About Box 1. Let's just call it About Box and add it to the project. It's actually another form that gets added in automatically, right? And it gives me some stuff: my product name, my version, my copyright name. Where does it get all this stuff from? It gets it all. I'm going to save this for a second. It gets this information from the project properties. If I go to project properties in the assembly information, if you look at the assembly information in here, this is all the information that the About box gets automatically. So the title of the project, the description, the company name, the product, the assembly version. We can make this 001 or 0.1, right? My file version 0.1. We can make this, right? The neutral language if you want to. So if I want to make the company name Centennial College, add that in. An example project demonstrates more controls for Windows Forms. Title, right? Press OK. So it does that, right? Let's see what it looks like when I run this form. How do I? Now I want you to think of this. The About box itself is a dialog. Okay, a dialog box is different than a regular form, right? Now you can treat a form like a dialog if you wanted to. And a dialog box, remember I talked about this briefly. Modal forms versus modaless forms, right? Modal form, when I bring it up, it locks my screen like an alert box when I'm doing JavaScript. I have to press OK for me to continue, right? If I don't press OK, I'm locked, I'm stuck, right? A modeless form allows me to hide it or minimize it and do something else. It can stay around, and if I don't touch it or if I don't answer the form, it's okay, right? It doesn't force me to do anything. It doesn't hover on top. A modal form does do that, and that's what really we use the About box for. So I'm not going to use the show method. I'm going to use the show dialog method of my About box to show it, right? Let's do that. So we can save this stuff, go back down here. This is my dot. By the way, you have product name, version, copyright name, and a description. Could I add other things in here? Yes, you can, right? And if you notice, these are all objects that are all part of the dialog. And if I wanted to add other ones, like for example, I've asked you to put in things like your author name and blah, 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 you can do that, right? Let's see what happens when I these are just labels, right? So let's see what happens when I get this information, right? All right, so I'm going to go back to my final form, and I'm going to look at my About menu item, click, and I'm going to say something like this. about box dot show. If I look at this this object, right? By the way, the about box is called about box, right? It's not called about box 1, right? Mine is called about box. Here it is, right here. Okay, about box. First thing, I have to instantiate it, yeah? About box, because it's not an object. It's just a form, like any other form. Is equal to a new about box, right? So again, same as I did before. Instantiate an object of the about box type. Okay. Next is I want to show dialog, right? And it's going to be about box dot show. Now there's two. There's show, which treats it like a modeless form, like any other form I'm using, or show dialog, which is a modal form, right? That's what I want in this case. So show dialog. Okay. I don't have to do hide. I'm not going to hide my form. This form is going to pop up on top of my form, right? Let's try this out and see if it works. So I'm going to run the form, my project. I'm going to go to leave Alberta chosen, go next. Go, oh man, I don't like it over there. Hold on a second. See, these are little pet peeves of mine. That's what it is, right? So I want to make sure that it pops up in the same location. So I'm going to change for the form itself. I'm going to go to Windows default location. It's going to go to center screen. You can, by the way, you can choose something else. I'm going to choose center screen. Let's run that again. So again, Alberta, next, here it comes. And then if I go to help, about, it brings up my about box. And it says, look, COMP123, lesson 12, version, copyright, Centennial College, da da da. All right, what about if I want to put my information in there? Right, well, I could do that. For example, if I want to, go to my information, so I can look at the about box design, right? By the way, I can treat the about box like any other form. It's just a template for me to use, right? That's what it is. I can modify it, delete stuff from it, all that stuff, right? And if I actually look at the code behind file for this one, right? So if I look at the about box, and if I want to see the code, it already has code in it. Okay, it's already there. Like for example, it sets up my string format for my assembly title, my label product name text as the assembly product. This all comes from the assembly information from my project, right? And it happens when I create my about box. It also has additional accessors that are hidden from my assembly title and my assembly version and all that kind of stuff. And I can certainly add in my own stuff as well, my own things that I want. For example, if I want to add in my student name or my author name, let's put it that way. Let me see how I can do that. First of all, I don't have to accept the default size of my description box. I could move this down a step further down if I want to, or can I? Let's take a look at what they've done here. Is it locked, first of all? It might be locked. Locked is false. Or did I set up a default size? There might be a default size for it. Yeah. These are all things that are set. Let's make the height, instead of 271, let's make it 200. And as you can see, it's not allowing me to do that, right? Because it's stopped, something is stopping me or preventing me from doing that. Is there something that you can see that's preventing me from doing the text box description, right? It's not allowing me to. My anchor is top left. Autocomplete customer collection, that's important. How about auto? Sometimes there's auto styling. Enables equal to drop. Doc is fill. Windows text. Generate member is true. Right? What about if I put false? No, that's not it.
They have used table layout panel. I think we need to change the table layout panel.
Again, I got to look and see what's here. I want to see what the actual objects are, right, that are on the form. Yeah, I want to make sure that this one. Well, I'm actually clicking on the text box description itself, right? that's inside here. This is the one I want. Right? So notice that I have no control. Same thing with these ones. If I want to move these around, see that I can't move them around at all. Right?
Because they are inside the table layout panel.
Doesn't matter. Right? Even if I try to move it around, right? I should be able to. Oh, you're saying in this one up here, right? Yeah, but it shouldn't matter. Like you're saying, this is an object, right? Inside my my column count is 2. Here's my column connection. So you're saying that it's a column or a row. You're saying this column percent is 33% for this one, 67% for this one. Yeah, that's nice. I like it. But what about my rows? Here it is. My row for my bottom row, row 5. So again, it's row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 50%. And that's nice. And then row 6 is 100%. This one is what I want. I want to change this back to, let's say, 20%. I like your thinking. That's good, right? And then I want row 6. This is row 6. I want to add a row in there, right? Let's try this out again. Add row. And let's undo that. Edit rows and columns. Go to rows. And here's my row 7. I want to move it up, right? So first of all, let's delete the row. And then up here between my, but these ones, it kind of messed up my percentages. Let's undo that. So undo. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. And edit rows and columns. Thank you very much. And go to rows. And I want to click on row 6 and then insert a row. There we go. And make this one, again, the 10% that I want. 10%. 10%. Row 6. No, that's not that one. This one's 10%. And this one would be 20%. And hold on a second. Let's go back. I pressed the wrong button. And these ones should all be 10 as well. So 10. I guess I could probably do them all at once, but you know, because it's an auto layout for auto size. That's what it was doing. This is 10. This is 10. This is 20. This is 10. Should be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So maybe I'll make row 6, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll make that the remainder. So maybe make it 40. So 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Yeah, 40. I press OK. And I made the wrong one that way. That's okay. We can fix that because I want to add that in. Bear with me, guys, while I do this kind of rebalancing of everything else. Here we go. Add rows and columns. I'm getting there. So what I mean is this one here. Let's get rid of it. This one should be 40. And then I want to add one on top of that one. Wrong way. The bottom. Delete. I want to add one on top of this one. Insert. That's what I meant to do, which is going to have 10. Like that. And press OK. Yay! So this is where it's going to be, right in here, right? Okay. So in here is where I want to put my new items. I'm going to go to my if I copy this one, just to let you know, copy, Control C, and go in here, Control V. I want this one to go. It's the wrong place. I want this one to go in here into my my next column, my next row, because this one is the row for my OK box, and this is the row that I want everything to be in. So I want to kind of maybe I can drag and drop it. So I'm going to go label. Let's pin this up here. Oh, work for nothing. Label, I want to drag and drop it into there. That's good. into there. Oh, that's okay. Is that actually working properly though? Is that part of the top left? But is that actually aligned in there? Or is that, oh yeah, it did. Undo. Yeah, it's actually aligning in there. But I want my label to be the same. I want to call this label my author name. Right, my author name label. Author name label. There we go. And it should say author name down here. But it's not really showing up where I want it to, huh? I want it to kind of show in the inside there.
In last assignment, you have given this table layout panel.
I know.
So we have used it, and it's a lot of difficulties.
It's just because it's already there. That's the thing. So if I go to the table layout itself, right, which is this, if I go to the table layout, and if I edit the rows, so I'll go back to row, right, you can see that row 5 is where I want this thing to be, row 5, right? So it says if you want to align a control within a cell, or if you want to control the stretch within a cell, use the control's anchor property, right? So I'm going to kind of align this, the control, and I go to anchor. Yeah, but that's not really cool. What's my anchor for this one? Top left. How is that different than everything else? Microsoft Sans 8, control text, and then its company name, middle left is the text align. I can do that too. Text line is middle left, right? Text line is top left. Okay, so middle left. Middle left. Use comparable text, use mnemonic. Still not really appearing where I want it to appear. Well, it's about as close as I want to get. Anyways, what I want to do is I want to take this author name, and I want to change my author name to my author name. And so I want to do this inside my About Box CS. So just like I have in here, just to show you, I want to set my author name text box. I'll say this dot author name. It's actually a label. I should have called it label dot text is equal to me. I can spell my name properly. How about that? There. Whew, lots of work. All right, and lots of work for little result, right? Let's go back in there. So let's see if it works. It's going to look approximately right. Now, I don't have to use the About box that comes with Windows Forms. I could make my own, but I'm choosing to use that. So there we go. If I click Help About, then I get my stuff all online. Right, so there we go. And I've moved everything. I've added stuff in there. Thank you for your help. If I press OK or this one, either way, I go back to this form. And if I press Control A, right, my About box comes in. So I don't have to. I can use the Control A. It's all built in. Now, how about my back and my exit? How do I make those shared? Right. So if I press Stop, and if I go back to my so my About box is done. Let's kill that one. And if I go back to my final form, and I want to have my back, both my back buttons, I want them to react the same way. So what I'm going to make one first for this one, and then point this one to this one. Remember how we did it before? So double click on back. You can see that it's called that I have my back button click already does that. List form show, right? And then close this option, right? So if I go back to my final form design, then all I have to do is change this one, my click event, to my back button. That's all I'm doing. I'm just pointing that to the other one. All right, cool. So let's try this out. So press play. And if I go next, opens this one up. If I press Control B, it goes back, right? If I press next, and if I go back, it goes back. If I press next, and if I press back, it goes back, right? All those menu items are starting to work now. Okay, now, something else on the control box. Do I want my control box to be available to me, and do I want to resize my forms, right? You can fix that. Remember how we did that before with, if I go to the form itself, so this is the form. From a properties perspective, I can change the bounding, the border style on the form. If I go to my border style, form border style, from sizable to fixed single. That'll stop my sizing from happening. Sizable to fixed single. It won't allow my border to change size. Same thing with my list form. I can go from my form border style from sizable to fixed single. Okay, cool. So when I click on the X button of my final form, I click on the X button. Remember what happens is the form closing event is triggered, my form closing event. If my form closing event happens, what I want it to do is, instead of, before it closes this form, I want to show my other one. It's okay to close this form off, but I want to just show my previous form. So I want to be able to do that too. So how do I do that? Click on this, go to my events, target, and go to my form closing event right here. Double click, which creates my final form closing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the previous form, so the list form dot show, and then this dot close, which is going to close off my form. That's what it's going to do. In fact, if you think about it, the close, is it really necessary? If I just go list form dot show, I don't have to do this dot close because it's closing anyway. That's just one step before closing, right? So if I do one of these, if I start this off again, I run it, I go next, one day, and if I click this, it closes and opens up this one. So now that functionality works. Cool. The next piece. How do I do the the file exit? Well, file exit's actually, what I really want to do is I want to end the application. That's a whole thing than closing the form off, right? So again, I'm going to double click on this one. Or, sorry, in my design view, I meant final form. I'll be okay. Today's I'm a little off today for some reason. Double click on this one. Here's my exit tool strip. Oh man, I got that ugly name again. And let's say I'm a stickler for names. So I'm going to go here and get rid of this. You don't have to do this. You can just get rid of this. And I have to rename this thing. I can rename the other ones too if I wanted. So this one, I can rename this one so that it has exit menu item. That's what I'll call it, exit menu item. There we go. And might as well do the back menu item because it's not going to affect anything in this particular case. Back menu item. I've renamed everything. So there's my exit menu item. And then I kind of double click on that, which gives me my exit menu item. And my exit menu item is going to do application.exit. I close my application down altogether, right? So let's run this out. I've almost got everything I need. So I click onto it next, right? I go here, file, exit. We'll exit the application. It'll also work with Control X. Will also exit the application, right? So all those things work now. Questions? So two parts. The first part, we talked about the list box. The second part, we talked about menus. We haven't done menu before, and you can do a lot of awesome stuff with menus. Like, for example, in the menu, one more thing before we go. If I want a separator between my exit and my back button, right? The menu item itself is actually a control, and you can actually control the menu item. I can change the render mode to different kinds of, to make it look differently, system or professional. The dock, where it's docked on the top or the bottom or wherever I want. If it's hidden, the grip style is hidden or not, or I can make it move around. So I can make the menu that you can drag and drop the menu around, like a custom menu item. And then if I click Edit Items, it gives me the objects that are inside my menu. For example, in my tool strip menu item, this is incorrect. The name should be actually my file menu item. That's what this is, file menu item, right? That's what it is. And my about is my, it shouldn't be my about, it should be a help menu item. I'll be okay. Help menu item, there we go. So if I go to my file menu item, notice I have a collection area, and I can see when I bring it up that my back menu item and my exit menu item are there, right? What I can do is I can add a separator, right? So I can say separator, and I can add it between my exit button and my menu item. So I add it, and I can move it up. So I got a separator between my back menu item and my exit menu item. I can affect the size of each item. There's a lot of different details here that we haven't even really talked about too much. Press OK. There we go. And press OK. And now when I go to my menu item, before you guys go, I can see that I've got a back and a little line that separates everything. So you can make it as fancy as you like, right? But really, we've done a couple of forms with a menu item, and this satisfies, again, part of the requirements for your assignment, right? I'm going to try and build your assignment piece parts components for you, and then you build out the rest on your own. Okay? Questions around this stuff? Okay, guys, thank you so much. Remember, your assignment number 7 is due 2 weeks from now. Assignment number 6 is due tonight, right? And please, if you haven't handed stuff in, and if you want to hand it in, you know, to get part marks, at least send me a note, and then I'll open it up for you. Thank you. Hold on.